megabits of MLK for 2017. Awesome job. You know, what I witnessed, I learned about environmental issues. You learned about science. You learned about programming, right? You learned about how to present. So all the things that encompass a great student. They got up and told the story like it should be told, and it showed that they learned. So I'm so appreciative of Team 1 and 2, Megabots 2017. You're awesome. I'm glad I was a part of it to help. But I'd like to also give a special shout out to Mr. Dale Patterson. He's a mentor for our first robotics team at the high school. He stepped up and helped us with this venture. I'd also like to give another shout out to Eloy Blackman, because without her endurance, I know this wouldn't happen. She took us to the end. So thank you so much, Eloy.
And while we're getting the students back up here, could we ask the parents of the students that are in the audience if you could please stand up? So we made a huge commitment to help support the child. So any parents in the audience, if we can give them a applause. Okay, so we have Antoine Bland. Antoine. Am I saying that right? Antoine? Antoine, I'm sorry. It's Antoine Dyer. Please forgive us. We will get your certificate first. Okay? All right, next we have Alyssa Waters. Is she here? Okay. Amir Baker? No. Karan Carruthers? All right. We have Celicia Cleveland, right here. Demaria Green, Mason Gully, Kyra Lewis. Yay. Marquise Martin. Alicia Mendoza. Karan Outlaw. Marcus Parks. Devontae Fitz. Vanessa Sargent. Jaden Rucker. We do have certificates for the students and some of the staff. For the 5th grade teachers, in particular, we have one in the house on her mobile device here. We have Ms. Ford. We have a couple of other staff involved. Ms. Nelson, Ms. Lockett, Ms. Goldman, Ms. Stacia. Yeah, Ms. Ford, thank you. Ms. Floyd. And then for our student workers, we have Daisha Moore. And for our adult sponsors, we have certificates for Mr. Patterson, Ralph Patterson.
It's like gotta be there.
Alloy Blackwood. Thank you. And President Joseph Taylor. We have a couple other people who assisted, and I'm here: David Mason, Joe Llanos, Carly Woods, Calvin Walker, Ken Stokes, Mark Schmidt, Marcus Cannon, and Rita Stevens. So thank you to everyone for helping us with this.
All right, can we get another round of applause for our students? Great job. At this time, we'll have public comment. If there's anyone in the public that wishes to comment, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. Thank you.
What a tough act to follow. Good evening. My name is Kathy Sanders. I reside at 418 West Ferry in Berrien Springs, but I can most often be found at the Board School, also known as the Discovery Nature Center School, in kindergarten. And I'm currently a preschool teacher there. And I'm going to read the one from my minutes. I was present a few weeks ago at the blueprint meeting, which is a systems approach to our district so that we can identify our strengths and build upon them, and also identify our gaps to work to fill them. By looking at the data of what works and what doesn't, we can develop plans and systems so we can all win, which to me means that every teacher is free to teach and every student is learning essential skills for success in life. As a very small part of the system, I believe our school, Discovery Nature Center, serving preschool and kindergarten students, is winning. We have a supportive parent base and active parent participation, and our preschoolers, when they leave us, are ready for the challenges of kindergarten. This is why I'm very interested in the proposed action of sending older students to our building as some sort of special program to help manage student behavior, as discussed at last week's board meeting. My first and most pressing concern is obviously for the preschoolers and kindergartners in our building. We have worked very hard to provide a safe, caring, and trusting environment for the youngest and most vulnerable learners in our district. Some of our students are as young as 3 years old and some are nonverbal. All of our Great Start Readiness Program preschoolers come to us from circumstances which make them at risk for success in school. We also have 2 classes of kindergarten students. These classes would be on the same wing as the children who are slated to come over to our building. And although my main concern is for the safe learning environment of the children currently in my building, I also have concerns about the children who are proposed to come over to VEC. Rumors abound, but it is my understanding that these children would be those who are unable to function appropriately in the regular classroom due to some behavior issues that are not conducive to learning. By moving these children from their home school, their school identity is essentially being stripped from them, leaving them with very little, if any, sense of school community. Behaviors will not change simply based on geography, and children who have no investment in their school community have very little incentive to change their behavior. There is a completely new dynamic at play when you take a group of challenging children and put them all together in the same room with very few, if any, positive role models and no real incentive to behave properly. I do not have the solution to the behavior issues that our schools are suffering from. I wish I did. But I do know that all behavior is communication. And in my experiences as an early childhood educator, almost all challenging behavior has deep roots in basic human emotions like love, anger, trust, and fear. When we can find the root of this behavior, we can help to change it. This requires a lot more time and effort on our part as the adults in this situation, and I have a hard time believing that just moving students from one building to another will fix this problem. Obviously, something must be done, but this doesn't sound like winning to me. In fact, it sounds a lot like losing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Commissioner Mary Alice Adams, City of Benton Harbor, community leader. I think it's wonderful what I just saw the children exhibit. As a matter of fact, it reminded me of the partnership meetings that took place with others in the community to help our school moving forward. I was present at some of those meetings, and it was very important to me, being that I was my brother's keeper, point of contact. And the young lady you just spoke, she just made me remember how important it is for those that want to learn to come over and mentor the other ones underneath them. From cradle to career, something is going on real wrong here. I've been on the outside looking, listening. I happen to also be a beautician, so I get a lot beyond the city. If in fact this board had a partnership with my brother keeper, there were thousands of dollars that are available for robotics, to allow the children to go into other communities, other states, travel, and see what they're doing robotically, and whatever else you choose to do with the funds. And they're constantly available when you are connected to those resources. Many more resources other than that that I just heard this teacher. Was that a teacher? Speak up. There was so much in that packet. The Boys and Girls Club took it though. But I wish that this board would still partnership with my brother's keeper, because there are many, many resources available. We have got to stop paying and bringing in outside sources to do and take care of things that we do have some people right here in this community capable of doing. We have changed leadership within our school system, and I'm just appalled at the things that I've been seeing. Something has got to be done. I mean, didn't we just get a security grant, a grant through the justice, something for safety? Does the machine up at the front door even work? I haven't been up in a while because I've been trusting that my grandchildren, my nieces and my nephews are in good hands. And yes, we need more parent participation. Those children, God forbid, if they're not leaving home out of love to enter into.
Thank you.
But please consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public participation?
My name is Luann Vidmar. I'm the Unit Director, Junior Representative for the Benton Harbor Area Schools, teachers, and paraprofessionals. I also want to commend students in the program that I just witnessed tonight. Great things can happen in this district and are happening in this district. I'd like to see that continue on.
I presented to you tonight a copy of a grievance that will be delivered to all of the building administrators tomorrow, which will be Friday, December 15th, on behalf of the teachers at Benton Harbor Area School, regarding violations of the Benton Harbor Area Schools EA Master Agreement. Also enclosed is an explanation of those contract areas the association feels are being violated by the Board of Education and Administration. Since there's no grievance procedure for the board, and the board has been named in this grievance, I wanted you to be aware of it. As the process is, we go to the building administrator first, then to the superintendent, and then it goes to arbitration, which completely circumnavigates the board goes around you, so I wanted you to be aware. Back in May of 2016, on May 21st, a New Beginnings Forum was held at Lake Michigan College. Superintendent Brian Winston was there to speak to the teachers and the paraprofessionals and some board members who attended. The next day, the teachers and the parents put together a list of things that they felt were the essentials that needed to be addressed at Benton Harbor schools, and this was 2016. Number one on the list, a non-negotiable code of discipline from top to the trenches. In other words, if discipline they felt was not being addressed and consistently handled in the school districts, there would be no learning going on. So here we are, December 14, 2017, dealing with inconsistent disciplinary practices district-wide. Teachers, staff, and students are afraid to come to school. They're afraid to teach. They're afraid to learn. Enrollment is declining, and little to no growth in academic achievement. So as a union, we'd like to know, if central administrators are visiting buildings every day, why is discipline problems escalating? If practices and trainings have been done, why is discipline escalating? Discipline training, what professional development has the district implemented to support the training since the beginning of school? And if they've had additional training, why is discipline problems escalating? If additional staff were hired to deal with PBIS strategies, why is the discipline problem escalating?
Thank you.
Thank you.
For public comment.
Before we stop, this is very important information. Is it possible that we may extend time for public comments because we need to hear what's going on in our district and where we're failing? I think this is very important that they be able to finish their comments. That's just my opinion.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So,
Well,
can I make a motion for somebody else to chair the meeting?
Well, no, it's not about chairing the meeting. It's about public participation. It's 3 minutes in our policy.
Okay, but I want to make a motion for another chair. Mr. Richard, chair the meeting, Vice President. If we're not
Go ahead,
going
ma'am.
additional time.
My name is LaShonda Jenkins, and I have a student at the Discovery Enrichment Center and as well as at MK. I feel that those third and fourth graders should not be put over there with those kindergartens nor those preschoolers. I have witnessed firsthand at MLK that the disciplinary between those kids are horrible. They do not need to be in a school with 5, 6, 3, 4, I don't know how old they start at. They don't need to be in that school rubbing off on our face because there's a learning thing that they're going to pick up from those older kids. I don't need my son coming home learning something else brought over to his school. So I think that we have all these portables behind the board. Why we can't do those portables? We've also tried, I think it was 2 years ago, where you guys had an alternative school. Why can't we look into that? Not housing these third and fourth and fifth graders with behavioral issues with 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds.
Thank you so much.
How you doing? My
Great.
name is Anthony Bell. I live in Benton Harbor. I also have a 5-year-old that goes to that school. And when I heard the rumor about the one, it disturbed me. My little daughter asked me, Daddy, is they gonna come over there trying to fight us? And that's a concern to me. Because if my 5-year-old is scared to go to school, first of all, I took my kids out of there, all clear, and brought them back to Benton Harbor School because the school was struggling. I said, well, I live in Ben Harbor, I pay my taxes in Ben Harbor. Why my kids not going to Ben Harbor? I went to this school, you know, but if y'all put them kids over there, the day my 5-year-old will not be going to that school anymore, and I will be taking my kids back out this district. Because I will not have my 5-year-old going to school afraid to learn.
Thank you. Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ronaldo Triplet, Ben Harbor. It's so hard to let things go. I mean, just, you know, to move forward, and I can't. You know, there are people who are complicit. And there are people who are sitting here that are enrolled that know exactly what has happened as it relates to the dismantling of this district. It has literally been dismantled. And there are people who we as citizens have voted for and identified to represent us as a community who's a part of it. You know who you are. It is not fair, first of all, to this community, what has been done to several of us who graduated from this school district, who was educated formally in this school district, who went to colleges and universities all across this country, have our names slandered, smeared, lies. It's sickening. Great principal, great leaders were removed, people who really cared about these kids because we care about our community. They were removed for no reason. And the sad piece about it is, you know, I'm good. But the sad piece about it is our babies. They do not deserve this at all. They do not deserve this. This is not right. And none of you all, the only person that's sitting at this table that has a child or children in this district is Ms. Gully. The only person. And so she appears to be radical. Her kids are here. And again, it's really sad. I don't even know how to say it. But God, this is not right. And you all are elected officials. Just because you got elected official positions, don't get so comfortable. I think the people are just cool.
Amen.
For what you're doing.
Amen.
You're our Board of Education. And you owe it to this community. People stood in line like they did down in Alabama. They stood in line for what was right. And that privilege for you all to be sitting where you sit. You can just sit here and look straight ahead, act like you don't know what is happening and what went down. You're wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Emma Kennard, and I'd like to just echo off of what has been said from many of the persons here in the audience. And I think that things is getting more and more festered. I know I worked 26 years in the school system, and I saw a lot of declining in the behavior. It should have been addressed long ago. But I could see that there was some source that was working to put our children at a disadvantage. There was many times that I went to those in authority over me to even speak on, maybe you should let me as a parent work with these children. And they said, oh no, we just have to put those children back in the classroom. We can't take them out there from broken homes. But if you have a problem, you seek out what the problem is and separate it from the children that is not having a problem. Like they say, you should have an alternative classes or something for those children in order to work with them if they need special help. So don't put them in with all the rest of the children. These children's safety is important too. I understand that there's a lot of fights that is occurring, and our children's safety is very important. These babies need to be protected, and they put how many $1 million over at homeschool, and it should have been spread it out or something. But also, I think our children, when they don't see people that they're familiar with, they bring people from way out of town. They don't have the respect that they would have if this was my mother's friend or someone that they knew, that they can identify with. And you could have a better relationship with those children, because those children know that their parents will get the information from that person that's more credible. But so many times these children go back home and say, I didn't do that. Well, the parents get, some kind of crazy, and they'll take that child's word for it. It's not like when we were coming along, when we said a parent was telling a lie on us or teachers, we got really worked over because they said don't call us and don't lie. But times has changed now, and we have to try to find a way to work with this. We are paying our big money. It's top heavy here, too top heavy. But those in authority is for this occurring here in our school. We need to get this fixed right away. We have about $800,000 that I asked Mr. Leonard, and we wanted to know where did the money go? We got to have this money to trickle down where it works right direct with our children. And we can't even get as to how the children are doing. We need to have homework even sent home with the children so we can even know what they're learning. So you all need to get it together. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Darwin Watson, first, I want to come as a parent of a child in this district. I'm greatly concerned about what's going on and what is transpiring in the district from the top school to the high school down. I'm hearing, fights, disruptiveness, the whole gamut. So as I put on my other hat, I'm coming now as the city manager of the city of Regualr. What I would like to propose to the board is that we, the board president, myself, I think Mr. Mitchell, you're the vice president, we get together, have a conversation about potentially even going to putting in potentially a police substation in these schools on a trial basis. But I don't want what I don't want to have happen is we become the head. I want us there to be present to support the district, not to do what security should be doing and administration should be doing. I want it to be structured so that we are that element that can help. And if there is something that is going on that the city of Regualr, the police department needs to handle, public safety needs to handle, then we will. Because what I would hate to have happen is what goes on in these buildings spills out into the streets, and now I gotta do it. We can be proactive in the sense of trying to keep that element from spilling over into the streets. And then, like I said, we've got issues out there that we then have to deal with. I would rather be, again, proactive than reactive. So I am opening or offering to the district, to the board, to have a conversation with myself, public safety administration, to see how we can work this out and craft it so that it's beneficial to both the city as well as the district. And like I said, anyone can contact me. I will give my number to you, Mr. Taylor, Mitchell, after the meeting. And so we can start this, because I think it's imperative that the district and the city work together to make sure that our children are safe, in a great environment, and feel welcome to come to school. Not feel threatened, not feel intimidated or scared. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Claiborne, pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church here in Harbor. I have served in Benton Harbor area schools as a substitute teacher for 9 years. We had several discussions. It's time to take action. If we check the record, most of the people that are called to controversy are repeat offenders. They come out of family of offenders. So now we need to decide whether we're willing to sacrifice a few students or allow the entire school system to go down. It's a matter of money. We either lose a few dollars for a minute, and then we gain on the other end. We lose it. And then we stay in mind, students are coming back. Why are they coming back? Are they coming back because they've been expelled for the same problems they had in Benton Harbor? Or are they returning because they're academically not qualified to remain in Berry Springs or St. Joe? If St. Joe can put people out for discipline, if Berry Springs can put them out for discipline, then I don't see no reason why we can't expel some people in Benton Harbor for discipline. Our schools are not growing. Behavior is excelling, and it's been that way since 2001 up to present. It's time to stop talking and take action.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, Mr. Turner and Mr. Don Pearson.
Good evening, Board of Education.
Good evening.
Before you, I have a proposal for the radio and television station at Benton Harbor High School for your review. And a radio station, I'm happy to announce, is on the air. It was on the air Thursday of last week. And call letters are 96.5. And basically, we'll be training next week, and hopefully by the beginning of the school year, we will be up with the program. In front of you, you can review the information. I have the program goals, the mission, assistance that's needed, additional math credits that's given in the my class, and also partnerships that we have with local radio stations and corporations and freelance producers.
You said that we would start at the beginning of the school season?
Well, let me say the radio station was up last Thursday playing music, and I want to start the programming next year in January when we come back.
Oh, no, second semester.
Well, it's still first semester. Second semester is over, I think, it's January 27th. So it will be when we get back from Christmas break.
Awesome. How What kind of role does Mr. Adams, he's over the CTE program, correct?
No, I'm the interim director of the CTE program.
You are?
Yeah, they made me interim director.
Secretary Seats?
Yes, thank you. On the sheet that you gave us, it says requirement for this class is new. Since my return, several students have been placed in this class with no desire for learning radio and television technology. This program has become a dumping ground for students. How did those students get put into the class?
They were put in through the counseling department, and at this point, I have 165 students. If you add the advisory classes that I teach, I have 185 students. And I just wanted to get quality students that are interested in radio, television production, so we can put quality or place quality programming on our station.
How many right now, Mr. Turner, are showing an interest in participating in the class?
We have about, I would say around 80, 85.
85 out of 160. Okay, I know you don't know, but earlier this year, we talked about possibly a partnership with ABC 57 News. And if you would, we did, and board didn't show any non-interest in maybe pursuing, and I do see one of the gentlemen here tonight, to be able to learn TV that is in our local area, may pique some more interest from the students. So, I would encourage you, if you're interested, pursue it.
When I was employed at Ivy Tech College,
Yes.
when I was laid off, I met him, and he worked with me with mentoring college African American men. So I think we can work with him, and he would be willing to work with me. I can force him to work with me.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much, Mr. Turner.
So, Mr. Turner, I have a question. So I'm looking at your programming, but does any of this programming include outside advertising, right? Are we allowed to get local advertisers on the radio?
Yes, but it has to be underwritten. The advertisers have to, they can't come on the station and say, come to my grocery store and these are the sales that I have. You can tell about the location of their business, and at the end of the commercial, or and I call it a commercial, and it should not be called a commercial. It's a public service announcement. You can tell the location of the business.
Can we make money from it?
Yes, you can.
All right, so I think you need to add that to your line item, because it's a way that we keep funding things, right? Because it will be an active radio station.
D&W supermarket, they will hopefully come to they want to advertise. And again, I can't say advertising, they
Public
want
service.
to public service underwriting.
All right.
Do you have a process in place for that?
No, not at this time.
Mr. Turner, one of the questions I have is, reading through your programming here, indicated that much of your equipment and equipment that you need for the program is either in disarray or missing. Is there a budget for your program?
Yes, it's through Perkins and added cost. Also, I applied the Barron County CTE program. It's $130,000 that the county received, and I applied to replace much of the equipment, especially the cameras. Our cameras were purchased in 2005. They're old, very old. Basically, they don't even meet standards anymore. And what I suggested that we purchase 3 high-definition cameras. A lot of the other equipment, when I came back part-time, I had purchased like a recorder. Everything is recorded in digital now. Also, the video switcher that school system purchased, that's digital. But we really need cameras, and also we need a teleprompter system, a brand new teleprompter system.
When will you find out about that grant?
On the 18th.
The 18th of
This month. And I asked for $30,000, and that should go to the cabinet. Broadcast quality cabinet.
Superintendent, is there any additional funding that may be available for this program from the district?
I would have to look into that to be sure, Mr. Commissioner.
And it seems like this is like the district offering woodshop, but we don't have any wood. You know, here the kids are eager to learn radio and television, but we don't have the equipment to teach them anything. So either we offer it and do it right, or we don't offer the program. So I think that we could take a look at our financial operating plan and perhaps amend that to find the dollars to get this program up and running where it's supposed to be. I remember back when we developed the studio, it was state-of-the-art studio with equipment, and the kids learned a heck of a lot. So since 2008, seems like everything went downhill. So I'm supportive of Mr. Turner is trying to do. So let's find the funds to make this happen.
Ms. Gunn?
I'm concerned about assistance needed. So Mr. Turner says that he's in charge of teaching the class, starting an after-school radio and television program, and performing interim CTE director duties for the department. So what about the other departments, like the construction, and so the allied health teacher quit? So do you work with those departments as
Yes,
well?
I work with the construction trades teacher, hospitality teacher, and also working myself.
So while you're conducting your class, you have to also monitor them and make sure that they're doing the right thing.
Yes, the
With
cosmetology,
165 students.
yes.
Make that make sense. So we hired Mr. Adams, and when you all voted for him, yes, I didn't support that, because it did not show that he had CTE experience. And it was assured that, oh, he knew what he was doing. But apparently he didn't. None, zero. So now we have him overwhelmed, but we still hiring people to walk around the building with a chart. But we can't get our programs because all our kids not going to college. Some of them do these alternative programs. Our allied teacher left, health teacher left. We say we didn't know why to seek the construction personnel, but we know because they said it. But you know how it is. We'll never get the truth. But I just don't understand how this whole program has just been dismantled within a matter of, how long have you been here, since 2016?
I just wanted to mention the radio station is state of the art. We have a radio station that was placed in our building in 2015 that's state of the art. And it was done with chief engineers from the Midwest Pack.
Any other questions from the board?
Yes, we did.
Mr. Pearson, do you have anything to offer? Or? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, Carolyn Gibbs and Mr. Johnson, Business and Finance, staff report number 1.
Thank you. Reason for board consideration. A set of financial reports is prepared for and provided to the Board of Education each month. Tax analysis this evening, it's recommended that payments for all of the district's funds be approved for the month of October 2017. Policy reference is policy 6470, payment of claims. And recommended action is that the Ben Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the October 2017 payments for the funds as listed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. On the AP.
I'm going to do a motion.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Oh, I'll get to the motion.
Mr. Johnson, if you finish, and then we'll do the motion so the secretary can answer a question.
Yes, I believe I was finished.
Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 1?
So
Moved by Angelica McGowan, may I have support?
Support.
Supported by trustee Martin Mamadi. Questions, comments, and concerns, starting with Ms. Seats.
Yes, thank you. True law firm, is it possible we can get a breakdown, an invoice of why this dollar amount exists for true law firms? And then I'm saying the school is, been utilizing the service and, how much we have spent year to date. for True.
Yes, we can get that information for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff report number one? Secretary.
Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Martha Mommy,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marla Seat, yes. Steve Mitchell. Yes. Joseph Taylor.
Yes. Staff report number one passes. Staff report number two.
Thank you. Subject is financial advisory services contract. The reason for board consideration, the district's contract with Robert W. Beard and Company for financial advisory services recently expired. Effects analysis, the district's contract with Robert W. Beard and Company for financial advisory services expired on September 30. The administration recommends that the contract be renewed through September 30, 2018. Staff from Robert W. Beard and Company have assisted the district with its emergency loans, new and restructured, with state aid notes, and with tax anticipation notes. Beard services during the 2016-17 fiscal year cost $18,772.50. Policy reference is 6320 purchasing. And the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve as presented the financial advisory services agreement with Robert W. Beard and Company.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number two?
So moved.
Moved by Angelica McGowan, supported by Stephen Mitchell. Questions, comments, concerns for staff report two? Ms. Gully.
So you said we hired them last year
Yes.
to apply for loans to the state and on tax anticipation?
Yes, they assisted us with those.
So what type of assistance, how lengthy is their process, and why can't the CFO just do that?
They provide us with services in a number of ways. They review extended cash flow or the cash flow projections for the district. They also assist us with pulling information together for municipal qualifying statement. They've assisted us with refinancing scenarios for for the emergency loans, and assisted us with that process. And also represented us or assisted us at Treasury meetings on those. The district has, as you know, a higher level of debt and more need for financial advisory services than districts that don't issue tax anticipation notes and have.
I'm sorry, but I thought the consent agreement consultant was supposed to be, advocate for us through the state to help solve our debt. So I don't remember voting on it last year. Was he just appointed by the state or the consent consultant?
I believe that this contract was approved by the board approximately a year ago. The November, December meeting.
Last year?
If you'd like to, we have to look up the tape.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mrs. Mommy?
Okay. We hire them. We hire them. If they do, such as refinance loans, we still have to vote on that to approve them refinancing loan? Or are we giving them carte blanche?
Refinancing the emergency loans would still require board approval.
Any other questions, comments, concerns for staff report number two? Secretary?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell. Yes. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Mommy,
Yes.
Lisa Gully,
No.
Marla Seat, yes.
Motion passes. Staff report number 3, bank depository and agents resolution.
Reason for board consideration, banks require a list of board-approved signers for the district's bank accounts. Facts and analysis, the proposed resolution reflects updated staffing in the business office. There's no policy reference. Finally, the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve as presented the updated bank depository and agents resolution.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 3? Moved by Angelica McGowan. May I have a support?
Support.
Supported by Mark Lamani. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 3? Secretary?
Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Martha Mommy,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marletta Seats, yes. Steve Mitchell. Yes. Joseph Taylor.
Yes. Staff report number 3 passes. Staff report number 4, budget revision.
Thank you. The reason for board consideration, the general fund budget has been revised to reflect updated revenue and expenditure estimates for the 2017-18 fiscal year. Facts analysis, the proposed budget revision reflects the actual fall 2017 enrollment data, updated staffing and wage and benefit amounts, and other revisions to reflect budgetary data obtained after the budget was adopted back in June. Policy reference is 6231, budget implementation. And the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve as presented the 2017-18 winter budget revision.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 4? Moved by Angelica McGowan. May I have a second? Supported by Stephen Mitchell. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 4? Mrs. Mommy?
There's my eyes. I have not looked closely at this budget as I should have. There's been talk about refinancing loans. Is that something that's included in here already, or will that require another budget revision?
Neither, because refinancing the emergency loans will not increase the revenue or increase the expenditures in the current fiscal year. Will not change the repayment or the payment schedule for the fiscal or the emergency loans in this fiscal year. It would change them approximately 3 years downstream.
So is that something we are considering, is refinancing?
We are considering that, and we're in discussion with Treasury regarding that.
Will we be given more information about refinancing? I mean, the interest rates, how much is it going to cost us?
Yes,
Is it going to save us money?
there is a net present value savings, yes. And we'll be happy to provide a copy of the schedule, the payment schedule before or with or without the refinancing. So you'll see what the payment schedule is currently and what it would be after refinancing.
We'll go to Mrs. Mommy, and then Lisa in the seats.
Okay. I know I'm not the finance guru, I'm here on board. But like when people refinance their homes, they do it because of their monthly payments are going to be lower. Yeah, we're gonna possibly refinance and we're not gonna be spending less money on paying back.
The district would in fact have what's called a net present value savings. So we would see savings for several years, but those savings wouldn't start until it's 2020. After that, there would be savings for a number of years, and then later on, there would be some rental or some cost increases.
Okay, well, you're gonna have your hands full making sure we understand this.
Ms. Cullen?
Yes, are we still paying, consent agreement or something?
No.
So that cost is gone?
That cost and that reimbursement is gone.
Okay, so what other state reimbursements do we apply?
We receive reimbursements for a number of services. One would be the clerical assistant that had provided Dr. Weatherspoon support, but now provides support to Mr. Connors of the Michigan Department of Treasury. We also receive full funding, full reimbursement for Dr. Markovich's services. And there are certain types of legal services that Treasury reimburses the district for.
So you're saying we're paying the assistant to Mr. Congress?
We're paying someone who is an employee of Benton Harbor, who works, or has been working in the past for Pontiac School District in support of Mr. Weatherspoon there and here. So her name is Susan Parent. And she provides clerical assistance for the district regarding the consent agreement and Mr. Connors. Now, she's on a very limited part-time basis. No employee benefits for us.
Once every 6 months, I got you.
Pardon me?
We only hear from her like once every 6 months or something.
She and I communicate, and she prepares certain documents for Treasury for the district. Has assisted Mr. Weatherspoon in the past.
Okay, like the balance sheet?
No, not that.
Not that? Not the income statement?
We prepare the financial reports.
Thank you.
Was I finished? But I guess I get cut off. Oh, okay, I got a time limit too, Mr. Tate?
No,
Okay.
we're going by Robert rules of order, so
Okay.
we
All right.
come right back to you.
All right, that's
All right.
cool. That's
It's
cool. I
six.
know you in charge.
It's 6.
What's up?
If there is a refinancing in the near future, doesn't that add to the debt that the school district already has? And what would that debt amount be?
We'll be happy to share the proposed debt schedule that shows the current principal and interest payments and what the principal and interest payments are estimated to be with refinancing.
But it would add to the debt.
It will reduce, or it will generate what's called a net present value savings. So when you consider the time value of money, there will be a savings, a small savings to the district.
So it doesn't add to the deficit, but it adds to the debt.
It would not add to the deficit. No.
It would not, that's exactly, it would not add to the deficit, but it would add to the long-term debt.
I will need to take a look at the second part of your question. It will not affect the district's current year deficit, but I'll need to look at the schedule again before I can answer you definitively.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Johnson, with refinancing, would the district, with those savings that we would immediately see, would that put us on a path of being able to hire qualified teachers and more teachers more immediately than down the road?
The refinancing itself would not generate savings in the next 2, possibly 3 years, because it would not affect the interest. It would not affect the debt payment schedule for the next 2 or 3 years. But it would help put us on a path and enable us to make some improvements in terms of employee compensation to make the district's compensation more competitive than it currently is, and bring it somewhat closer to the median in the county than it is now. Yeah, welcome.
So,
Ms. McDonald?
What is the new interest rate? What are we paying now, and if we refinance, what is that interest rate going?
I'll be happy to provide the payment schedule. I believe that there are, it may be multiple rates depending on the term, because typically when, depending on the financing, interest rates can vary depending on how long it is. So we have 5 emergency loans, and I need to take another look at the schedule to see if there are different rates for different terms.
Any other comments?
It's okay, Mr. Leonard, you need that on the floor, because you do this anyway.
I wasn't sure what it was, to be honest. I thought maybe it was a
He's
document.
telling us
we needed,
goodbye.
So, yeah, so.
Answer any questions.
So does this go along with the general appropriations resolution? Is that to follow the staff report?
Yes, that is the general appropriations resolution is the budget resolution.
All right. Secretary?
Lisa Doe,
Yes.
Martha Monson,
Yes.
Angelique McGowan,
Yes.
Marletta Seaton, yes. Stephen Mitchell. Yes. Joseph Taylor.
Yes. Staff report number 4 passes. Staff report number 5, Dr. Walker, CIO position.
Thank you. So I wanted to share again with the board the value to the district, particularly if you look at the partnership agreement as an example, there's a goal specific to improving the use of technology, data acquisition. This position would provide support and leadership in that role. Also, we know there's an opportunity for online learning, and so to create an actual online learning program would allow for this position. Technology support that would be brought by having this position would be tremendous, as we do have a lot of technology. However, it is a massive task for the director of that department. So again, I am going to ask the board to approve this report that I just completed.
So the range in this position is 87 and
So the reason for consideration is, problems with my computer, please hold on, it's not holding. Back to the analysis, Bentonville Area Schools is seeking a chief information officer position to assist the superintendent of schools with the administration of technology services, development and maintenance of district website, supervision and oversight to data warehousing and reporting for student data, development and operation of online alternatives, creating a social media presence and other public relations marketing initiatives. Reason for approval to achieve district goals. Again, I'm speaking to the partnership agreement. The position of CIO will provide a higher level of supervision over technology services where the district and the current technology director is able to provide. This is needed as we have had a number of technology problems over a number of years. In addition, the student population of Bentonville schools, as well as students across the region, would benefit from a quality online alternative school, which is why one of the duties of this position should be put in place by January 2018, moving to establish that school by fall of 2018. Students from out of district participating in this online school would benefit the district's enrollment and financial positions. As use of technology and social media is critical to public relations, communications, and marketing, these areas will also fall under the CIO position. The district's need for long-range planning in all of the above areas will be well served by a person qualified for a CIO position. Policy reference 3120, employment of professional staff. Recommended action that the Bentonville Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the position of the Chief Information Officer.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 5? Moved by Angelica McDowell. May I have the support? Need a support to move forward. May I have support for staff report number 5?
Point of order, I think it failed. When I did my motion, only got 2 seconds. So are you trying to persuade us to approve?
So, since we don't have a second, staff report number 5 fails. Staff report number 6, assistant principal at MLK.
As an analysis, this year MLK has been experiencing more problems with student discipline than in the prior year. This summer, and staffing MLK is size and its positive climate from last year led us to reduce one staff position in terms of interventionists and to ask the principal to cover both MLK and DEC after being given the added position of a dean. After the year started, it was clear that the mix of students and the staffing challenges had negatively impacted that positive climate. Because of that, the principal was relieved of duties at EDC so that he and his dean could focus full effort at MLK. It is clear that more is needed in the area of discipline at MLK, which is why recommendations to place an assistant principal in that building with authority to suspend as well as discipline and other matters was made to the board. In reviewing the recommendation, the board has asked the superintendent to also consider setting up an alternative educational setting that will provide programs for students with severe disciplinary issues at a site other than MLK. While the superintendent will develop a plan, program that could be operated off-site when MLK is requested by the board, it is still a recommendation that a person with this background is the right fit for what is needed in MLK for the rest of this year. Policy recommends study lunch plenty, employment of professional staff. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the position of assistant principal for MLK.
Thank you. May I have a motion for staff report number 6? Okay, so we don't have a motion on the floor, so staff report number 6 does not move forward. Staff report number 7.
Dr. Markovich's contract renewal. We have Dr. Markovich here at the request of the board to come before you to answer questions, and then we will read the staff report.
Thank you, Dr. Markovich.
At the request of the president, I request.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So I think I have board members ask me to have you come forward today before we review your contract to see exactly what your scope of work is, what have you done in the district thus far.
So to save time, I think you have a folder like this in front of you, where I have put together some materials I can reference, and that might help us go quicker, or perhaps focus your questions. So the first thing to let you know is that it is the Department of Treasury who, in reviewing the success of, or the hope for success of the consent agreement and its educational plan, felt that it would be beneficial for the district to have a person with an educational background in the district, assisting the district not only with its work within the consent agreement and the educational plan within that consent agreement, which is a partnership agreement, but also to assist your superintendent and your administrative team in any way that they felt they might require some experienced assistance. At the time they asked me to do that, I was working for Open Schools. I had just stepped down as their superintendent, and I was working on other projects, mostly with Pontiac School District and Open Schools, and I discussed the fact that I would come and work with you part-time, and that was the arrangement. If you recall, about a year or so ago, you had an intergovernmental agreement with Open Schools. That agreement put you in the district, you paid over the schools, and then the Treasury paid you back for whatever costs you had paid to Open Schools. In December of last year, I left my position in Open Schools, presented with a contract from ILLC to continue that same work in January of 2017. That contract is a one-year contract. And so it's up again. In your folder, you asked, why did Treasury ask me? They felt I could bring a lot of experience to the district. And so I have the first item in the folder on resume, which will show you a number of superintendencies. It will show you work in both urban, suburban, and rural districts. It will show you work in districts both rich and poor. It will show you, if you look at it and read that part, some of the activities and accomplishments in these districts. And there's a page of references in case you would question anything on the resume. These are people that still have those phone numbers who could call and talk to you further about them. You also asked, not only what I do in terms of the scope of work, so the second item in your folder is the independent services contract that you signed with me, or it's based on the one you signed with me in January, updated to this year. And you'll notice that the very last paragraph of that contract, if you look on the third page, is a section that I created us to end this relationship within 30 days for cause or no cause. And I went on to state this year that should Treasury ever stop payment of my services, the contract would be null and void immediately. So I'm only here while Treasury is reimbursing me for my services. That was the deal, and that's how I based this contract. You'll also see on that page that the treasurer has already signed this contract, which means that Treasury has committed to funding this position for another year. And then after that, you'll see the general scope of work that accompanies this contract. And as you said, it's basically to assist in overseeing and guiding compliance with the consent agreement, which is most important. No one wants to see a breach. One of the things I watch for is action or activity that might be moving toward a breach so that we can stop it before anything like that will happen. I also look at how to implement the goals that are in there and collaborate with Dr. Roberts and the team in terms of whether or not I see anything that might come into a non-compliance issue as they're moving forward with their activities and plans. And then you can read the other things that are the reason I've given you papers so that you can have to listen properly. I know the scope is big, broad areas, and you might be curious as to what are some of the projects and activities this past year that fell under these broad areas, and that's the last page in your document. Sorry for the small print. And these are just some of the activities that I worked on this year under that scope. So that's what I did with your consideration. I know you also asked me to express my opinion in terms of the value I bring, and I've done a lot of cost-benefit analysis for a lot of projects. Never one where the cost was zero, so I certainly hope that I'm working more than zero. I think that some of what I bring is actual hands-on work that saves your team some time, brings some efficiency, and allows them to perform for you other duties that are requirements. And I believe I bring you experience that is pretty vast and broad. And if you look at that experience and talk to my references, I think you'll find out that the results of those positions in those places were always positive in terms of making gains and accomplishing goals. But in terms of speaking any further on my value, really the people who have you whether or not are the people. And that would be Treasury who pays for me, and whether or not I work for them, whether they feel it's worth what they're paying, and then the people here in the district.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Mrs. Mommy.
It's like you have two superintendents.
So who evaluates your performance?
Treasury. I'm a consultant. I'm not an employee of that department. So I'm a consultant, and Treasury evaluates the performance, and they determine prior to the end of the contract whether they want to put money in the future. Should they decide not to, it would not be provided.
Do they have a criteria that they follow?
You would have to talk to Paul Connors. They receive my work product. They receive weekly communications from me. It is not a formal evaluation because again, I'm a consultant. So the form of an evaluation for a consultant is, did you use the work products? And did the work products meet the requirements that Treasury had looked for? The same thing happens here, whether it's something that Mr. Johnson would ask me to consult with him on, Mr. Leonard, Dr. Regualr, a lot of work with Ms. Robinson on grants. Ms. Grants is a large area of my background as well. They have to determine, it's not that they're evaluating my performance, they're evaluating whether or not the project or the activity they asked me to help them with got done and whether or not it got done acceptably.
Please list some of the projects that they actually worked on that were done successfully. And why weren't we made the project?
Well, I think you were. The projects are on that page, the page with small print. That listed most of those.
That was my question.
Pardon?
That was my question.
Tell me what the question is.
Let me repeat. I wrote something. Please list some of the projects or elaborate from this paper that you worked on for Treasury in which you were evaluated and received a successful review?
So, I did list them. Let me expound on the one you were talking about earlier. It's working with Mr. Johnson and Treasury and Baird Associates on the possibility of your being able to refinance your emergency loans for a longer period of time than they exist right now. The reason. Pardon?
That's what they say, Brian. The person you hired, so you work with Brian? The company they just formed on for the 18.
I did not look at Mr. Baird. I said to you that you listened to an agenda item that you seem to be interested in. I can pick another example.
Please.
If you'd like me to. Last spring, when the SRO office proposed to close 3 of the buildings and came down and did their visit, and you had to develop a very extensive response packet. I sat with your team of people and helped them design and develop that response packet and helped put it in finalized form. And I believe it was a successful packet. It answered all the questions that were asked. And I think we ended up with a good result.
Oh, I'm just scratching your face.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Markovich. I just have a few questions. I know that the teachers providers had already worked with or assistants to our administrative team. One question I had is, we had learned earlier at another meeting, I think it was President Taylor, that when we were talking about first student and transportation system, that it was noted that our children were not required to wear IDs to board buses and take home on buses. And this was a concern of ours because of the safety involved and the issues that it creates when drivers do not know who a particular student is. And the statement was made that Dr. Markovich told us that we were to transport all students with or without IDs. And I thought that might be an area that, if that decision was to be made, it should have been made by our superintendent,
Right.
and not a consultant. So I'm not saying that we did, but I'd just like to hear from you on that point, because that's what was said.
One of the items I listed was helping the superintendent and the transportation department work through some big hang-ups in the transportation route this fall. The transportation company had switched software. They've gone to another system to plot the routes, and in the conversion, there were kids who got dropped. So there was lots of confusion going on at the beginning of the year. Dr. Walker and her cabinet and I in transportation were meeting a lot to try to problem solve and figure out how to get our hands back around this, how to correct the data system. Most importantly, how to pick up every student that was coming to that harbor. And at that time, the data in the database for the school transportation system and power school were not matching. And it was difficult to know which kids were or weren't in the system. You would have, especially young children, standing at a bus stop, and their name might not be on the list because the registration might not have gone through. So, now getting to your question, at one of the meetings, to me, would I work with Amanda to help with the bus company dig into this and see how we could correct the system, and how, until we corrected the system, we could make sure that every student who wanted to get into the Benton Harbor schools was getting into Benton Harbor schools. So one of the things Dr. Walker said, it was Dr. Walker, not me, said, we need to let kids on the bus, if they're at the bus stop, we'll get them to school, and then once we get them to school, we'll try to sort out, are they registered, or are they not, are they on this list or that list? So that when I did talk to the bus company, it is true I said, at this time, while our routes are a mess, until we get it fixed, let students come in without their IDs, because we may need to get them registered, we may need to get them signed up before we can get them an ID. It was a temporary directive during a messy period of time. I heard about the comment, and in hindsight, it would have
you know, in hindsight, you're always perfect. In hindsight, probably around the 6th week of school, somebody should have called transportation, maybe me, and said, by the way, started asking for IDs. It was assumed that once the mess was cleaned up, IDs would be required. And that was an assumption that probably would have been better had we had another directive, not an assumption.
Well, thank you. That clears up a lot for me. It wasn't presented to the board that way. I'm glad you're here to clear it up.
Because I thought that was Brian Mayor's job, to work with the transportation. But I guess I'm seeing all these job descriptions that we already have staff for that are being done by a consultant. So it appears that we may not have the right people in positions to do the actual job descriptions because they have to ask somebody what they need to do. I guess it's just my opinion because this is so confusing to me.
You want me to respond?
No, that's my statement. It's not a question. Thank you.
Secretary. How many days a week do you work, Dr. Markovich? And the days that you're not here, does staff have to call you when you're not able to figure out a particular situation?
So it's not that your staff can't figure out a situation, so I'd like to correct that right now. But you have, if you look at my resume, I've been a superintendent in 4 districts in 3 states. And most of the problems you're dealing with, I faced before multiple times. So sometimes it's just a case where your staff wants another opinion from somebody who's faced the same situation before, so that they can evaluate their own opinions with that input. It's called collaboration. People do it all the time. I'm not doing anybody's work for them. That's why you see on my activities, it's assist, it's work with, it's compete, something that they had already started. On the transportation issue itself with Mr. Leonard, he was very busy getting schools open. I mean, in the fall, any district is difficult to open. Your district has huge challenges. And in addition, we had the challenge of the transportation system not running smoothly. At that time, you did need extra hands working on that system. At most other times, you also need helping hands. I am not doing anyone's job for them, but I'm here to assist in the scope of the work was to assist wherever the superintendent thought I was needed. And so that's what I did. I'm not sure I answered your question, Mrs.
So, excuse me, so when you assist, you don't direct, you don't direct or give directives in lieu of the superintendent?
I don't supervise anyone, I don't evaluate anyone, nor can I, as a consultant. It would be illegal in terms of IRS rules. I sometimes take people directives that the superintendent has asked me to carry forward, but it is under her direction. It is on behalf of Dr. Walker. Frequently, you'll see my emails say on behalf of Dr. Walker. Or Dr. Walker may ask somebody to ask me a question. It might be a pupil accounting question. It might be a question related to some legality relative to a special ed student. And if Dr. Walker asks someone to ask me a question, I'll give them the answer. And I'll CC Dr. Walker in that answer. But you know, I was a superintendent for 29 years. I had no desire to go back there if I wanted to be a superintendent for the state of New York. And to answer your question, I work 3 days a week. And that I work on site an average of 3 days a week. The other days I'm not on site, but your staff is always, I welcome their calls if they have anything they want to just talk about, or if they have anything that they need to follow up on that I started on the 3 days that I was here and I'm not here. And I don't charge for any time that is not on site time.
All right, any other questions? Comments, Ms. Richard?
I think it's worth noting to the board and Dr. Walker that she arrived here, Dr. Walker did, when our whole management team concept was in shambles. There wasn't a reliable HR department. nor business and finance department, nor operations and facility department. And I think that Dr. Markovich had brought value to the district during the time that we were rebuilding. I think her presence here was necessary to support the superintendent. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, we sought after the superintendent through an agency that was recommended by the state that assured us that we would get quality people who would be able to turn around our school district. We paid for those services with our community dollars, our taxpayer dollars, in the effort that we were going to get somebody that was going to turn this district around themselves and have the possessor qualities to do that. So, is it possible we can get a refund from them because we got to hire all these other people that Treasury said we need to hire because Treasury said so? We've been doing everything Treasury wanted us to do, and we are at the worst situation in our school district right now. I don't understand how we are addressing the partnership agreement when these kids not even learning. But we sitting here advocating for additional services for line items on the superintendent contract and saying that this is needed. So just like with the attorney fees, every time it's a policy, we got to get an interpretation from the attorney to understand the policy. I don't get it. I don't support it. Sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Hicks?
Yes, to Mr. Mitchell's comment, and I was not on the board at the time of the transition, and I do believe that the district was in a certain turmoil at the time, and we did have a consultant assigned from the state and Mr. Markovich at that time to assist. And since that time, we have added an assistant superintendent. Since that time, we have added other positions, and I thought that while we were doing that and while we were transitioning to being independent of and not codependent, that's why we were given the superintendent the positions that she was requesting before this board. And so, and I think this board has done its due diligence with adding positions, and that's where my position is at this particular time. We have added assistant superintendent and other positions to compensate for what you all did not have when the district was internal.
Thank you. Dr. Walker, staff report number 7. Thank you, Mrs. Martin.
Thank you. So reason for approval, Dr. Markovich has provided critical support to the district for past experience as a superintendent, her work supporting schools in Oakland County, and her familiarity with consent agreements has been a great help to the BHAS administrative team. Treasury has already signed a contract to show its intent to continue paying all costs related to Dr. Markovich's services. This offer from Treasury brings expertise and support to the district at no cost to the district. Facts and analysis. Dr. Markovich has been a consultant provided to the district from the Department of Treasury since April 2016. Dr. Oakland Schools until December 30, 2016, and once she retired from Oakland Schools, BHAS contracted for her services through her LLC. Treasury reimburses BHAS for all costs related to her services. Treasury provided this position to assist the superintendent and her administrative staff in meeting the requirements of both the consent agreement and its educational plan. Policy reference 0120, powers and philosophies. Recommended action that the board approve the contract for services from Dr. Markovich as shown in the attached contract, which is already been signed by Treasury.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 7? Moved by Steve Mitchell. May I have support? So since there's no support, staff report number 7 fails at the table. Okay, on to consent agreement items, Andrews University fundraiser, Sunrise Rotary, and the Cathedral of Faith in Concord.
So, to share with the board some opportunities for community partners have offered or contributed to the district. Through Andrews University, they are wanting to have a fundraiser event at the university through some local concert that would bring funds that would allow the university to then donate to the district and specifically support facilities needs such as air conditioning in buildings like MLK. So it is important, obviously, for the policies of the board, all for donations over $5,000, excuse me, that the board approved. And so just wanted to make you aware that they are planning to do a fundraiser for the district for Sunrise Rotary Scholarship Fund. The Sunrise Rotary, in support of the athletic department, has set up a scholarship fund and have sought through the athletic director and Coach Huzelak, 2 students that they wanted to move on, one $600 and one $500. And so again, through this process, I was just informing the board that they are looking to give scholarships, and 2 students have been able to apply for the school. And then the Cathedral of Faith, I got a text message from a community member asking if the district would benefit for some clothes for students of all ages. Yes, absolutely. The value of those clothes total over $2,500. It includes shirts, pants, sweatshirts, coats, some really nice items. So we're hosting a clothing giveaway on December 20th from 4 to 5 here at the high school for Benton Harbor area schools, families, and communities.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the board regarding those 3 items?
I don't know the scope of their work as far as this fundraiser for Andrews, but if they're talking about Central Air for Paul and MLK, I think that it's going to take more than one fundraiser to accomplish that goal. That would be quite a feat.
You're welcome. Staff report number 9. Kelly?
Hi. Subject is resignation of instructional staff. Reason for board consideration: the board must vote to accept the resignations of instructional staff members. For our facts and analysis, we have Tammy Memo, who's a theater teacher here at the high school. She is going to stay through the end of the semester, so closer to the end of January will be her resignation. And she's been at the Regualr area schools for 4 years. Her exit interview is scheduled. I just got this on yesterday, so her interview will be up. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the resignation of the aforementioned staff, and that a letter is sent thanking her for her service to the students in the district of Benton Harbor Area Schools.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 9? Moved by Martha Mommy. May I have support? Supported by Angelica McGowan. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 9? Secretary?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Marletta Seats, yes. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Momedy,
Yes.
Lisa Dart.
Yes.
Staff report number 9 passes. Department updates. We'll start with Mrs. Lovelace.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to make sure that you guys know about the Regualrs. We have applied again this year, so that we will hopefully be upgrading some of the facilities at the EDC building next year. Either this and ahead, so I have kind of a plan ahead for that work. I just got word today that the title budget was approved, so we're moving forward with upgrading Dream Academy. So we'll be upgrading those switches and adding access points, actually replacing the access points and adding, so they're going to have
3 times as many access points in that building as they have right now, so it's like, yay, it's a good win for us. That work will be scheduled, I talked to the vendor today, right after I got notification that we did have the budget approval. So we're gonna try and schedule it over the holiday, we're not sure if they can make that deadline, but if not, we'll be right in January. So I let the staff know, not the staff, let the administration know that building is really, really excited. The second half of our copy machine contract is going to be coming due this spring and summer. So I just wanted to let you know that you will be seeing an RFP come out for the second half of our copy machine contract. I will be working with Carolyn to pull that together and get it posted in early January so we can have a lot of leeway and room before we have to switch out our copiers. We also recently acquired 10 access points that we can put in the buildings in the district that are not necessarily student occupied. So one thing that Benton Harbor has is we have technology, and luckily a lot of the title money is able to pay for the technology, but that means the technology has to be for student use. So when we purchase access points with title funds, they have to be in a building that is being used by students. When we switch classrooms around, like we did this year at DEC, we added kindergarten classrooms to that building. Now we have to, there's a process that we have to go through to be able to use title funded equipment in that building and to make it a place where we can also bid for E-rate hours for that building. So getting these 10 access points will allow us to add more Wi-Fi capability at the administration building and at the skill center, because the skill center is no longer for purpose. And we're finding that we're using we need the Wi-Fi access in that building a little more heavily than we have in the past. And the administration building has 1 access point in the entire building. So now we're going to be able to add a couple more. And so as we have visitors and meetings and board meetings that we want to use the Wi-Fi access point, we're going to have more than 1 point different. So hopefully that means better connectivity for all of us. I'm going to default to Mr. Leonard's update. He's going to give you a nice update about the 2-way radios that we've been collaborating on that project. Because it's kind of got a little bit of a go on it, so let's come to the end of that project. And also, I'm going to be reaching out to Pontiac. I've actually made the phone call already. I haven't been able to have a conversation with their tech director. As I see damage to computers in the district, I'd like to know how other districts that have a high poverty level deal with the accountability piece, because there's many layers to the accountability piece, starting at the student level, the teacher level, the administration level, and my department as well. So how do we all work together to hold students accountable when they physically damage our computers? In the past week, I've had 2 computers given to me that had the frame around the keyboard taken off, and the keyboard pulled off of the machine. And this machine is 3 years old. So that leads me to believe that we need to do some further investigation and have some conversations with more folks in the district so that we can come up with a better policy for our students.
So that was my question in relation to your statement. So when that happens, like, are the warranties up on the computers, like we didn't have extended warranties?
We did have extended warranties, they're 3 years old. So we had an extended warranty for 3 years for accidental damage, and that was up in August. So now we have to either repair everything ourselves or send it out to be repaired. No, no. Use our accidental policies to its fullest extent.
So they refuse.
I know, they don't offer renewal. The longest they allow renewal for an accidental damage is 3 years. Because in their mind, the life of the device is 4 years.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Ingram. All right, Mr. Leonard, update on facilities.
Thank you, sir.
We have a couple different items we just want to bring to your attention this evening. In the Facilities and Operations Department, I've updated, identified a number of different areas related to the activities that we've been involved with. One of the most pressing, of course, as requested, the information that relates to the snow removal services proposals for CSM. So this is under snow removal services for 2017 season. There are two proposals there, you'll notice. At the time that we requested the proposal, the board requested for that information. The district currently owns the Benton Harbor area school vehicles. In the contracts that we signed with CSM, we actually had provisions in there to offer the opportunity for CSM to purchase those vehicles for utilization and custodial maintenance services. So the second proposal is from CSM, which relates to if the district decides to sell the vehicles to them, as had been originally discussed, what the actual cost would be for those additional services to be provided. One thing to draw your attention to, I think you'll find interesting if you look at those, is the cost is the same for the district. That being said, moving into the district vehicles and potential sale to CSM, the third document linked to that area there. Form of a staff report to share this information. The information that was requested is and is being presented for consideration is the district's contract, as stated earlier, for maintenance and service with CSM requires CSM to provide the vehicles and equipment to perform specified services. The contract also provides an opportunity for CSM to acquire district vehicles used for maintenance and custodial services on a right of first refusal basis. Just for an understanding of the current number of vehicles that the district owns, we have 15 at this point in time. 4 of those vehicles are used by the district for IT, food services, administration, and facilities. The intention is to retain those by the district at this time. 5 of the vehicles are currently out of service, and 6 of the vehicles are used in custodial maintenance activities for CSM has provided quotes for 5. Compared to quotes that were provided by CSM to tell the regional values and also evaluate the annual operating cost for those 5 vehicles. The CSM quote for vehicles was $11,000 collectively. The estimated legal value was $15,714, and the estimated annual operating cost was $35,935. So 3 different possible options that might be available for action down the road. We do consider negotiating the quotes with CSM, potentially arrive at a higher value and sell the vehicles to them, resulting in an annual savings of almost $36,000 annually, and receiving an immediate cash value in excess of $11,000. We could also potentially lease the vehicles to CSM at the estimated operating cost. Or we could require CSM to acquire their own vehicles and either sell the district-owned vehicles to another third party and or retain the vehicles in storage for use. This would be brought for the recommendation to the January meeting. We want to present the information for your consideration and additional questions at this point in time.
Any questions for Mr. Mayor?
I do, on the district metal detectors. Can I ask a question? You have 6 used and 1 new handheld Garrett metal detector, which was located in the security office at the high school. Those were already metal detectors that this district owned. Am I correct?
That I've been able to verify at this point in time.
And they were located in the security office, but not being used in the different facilities.
Right.
Is there a reason it was stated why those metal detectors and a handheld wand was not being used in the district? And even due to the escalation of incidents in the last few months, not just weeks, why were these metal detectors put back into operation?
I can't, I don't know the answer.
Who's in charge of that then? Who is in charge of saying that these devices or that these operations, which I see we have an administrative guideline for, that they should not be operative, but the guideline is still there? Who made that decision?
Point of order.
I'm
I
sorry,
thought you was talking to Mr. Lemon.
I was.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you was talking to me.
Well, Mr. Leonard, you can respond.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Leonard.
That's right.
I asked the question. So
Yeah,
who would
she trying
make
to
the
talk. That's
decision?
my point of order over there. Not you. I want you to
So,
answer.
Mr. Leonard, you can respond.
As far as when those are taken out of service, they've
Yeah.
never been in service that I'm aware of since I joined the district. So as far as my awareness of them, I had no awareness.
Oh, okay. So let me just back up just one step. You did not know that we have. And when you found them, did anybody give you any more information of how long they had been in the security office and the rationale for why we were not using them?
No, nor would I know specifically who to ask that question.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Walker, go ahead.
Thank you. So, the receipts, when I came to the district, that was one of the questions that I also asked because I saw the detection room lines. At that time, I was informed that there was concern about the image of the district to use the metal detectors in the lawn. So it was one of those opportunities that was not capitalized upon, and they were not in operation when I came. So the district was not using them, and I did inquire about that with the, at that time, high school district.
Okay, so that time frame, from the time frame, superintendent, you're saying when you came, you saw that they were not, and you've been here.
And I asked the question about why they didn't choose.
And you didn't get an answer.
No, I asked the question of the high school principal. I came in February. They were not in use and they were not being used. So I asked the question, we have these, why were we not used them? I was trying to seek information, and I was informed that that was not something that the district wanted to do at that time. From the high school administrator, that it was not, it was like the district was not wanting that leadership to use metal detectors and lines on students. I definitely had a conversation about that, and at that time, and still, in terms of the students and coming into school, the number of types of things metal detectors were coming up. It was not high incidence, so the issue remained as it was when I came.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, we'll go back to the seats. Ms.
That ain't
Scully and
true.
then Ms. White.
Because a kid had a gun in school, that's a lie. A kid had brought a gun to school, it was in a book bag, and he had to hide the security. We did a security analysis, and we was trying to figure out how to search the kids in their book bags. So I don't support that statement, it's not true. And if you're a superintendent and you see a need, that's all you say is we gotta wrap around our services and the processes for safe order in schools. You've been preaching that since you got here. We can't keep taking these processes and these wraparounds and blaming it on other people who ain't here to defend themselves because the administrator is gone. He could have stood up for himself, but he's no longer here. What you're talking about. So I'm just trying to figure out when your job kicking in, your accountability. Because we keep blaming it on everybody else in the processes, and I just can't seem to wrap around nothing. This is very frustrating. Yeah, go and talk.
Go ahead, Dr. Walker.
So my response was to the question that was asked. And the question asked was, whose decision was it? Did we know they were there, whether they were being used or not? So the information that I gave was factual based on the time that I came, and so I
Yeah,
will
that's
stand
right.
by that report.
I don't believe nothing you say, put it right for me, sorry.
Mrs. Monroe?
I may have dozed off for a while, I don't get all the way through your report or not.
No, I had a few other items that I wanted to make sure we at least make you support aware of.
So maybe I'll wait to, my question's down at the bottom.
Okay.
And then I'll ask.
If I can continue.
We'll go to Mr. Mitchell and then Ms. Seeds, then we'll go back to the question.
Historically, I think that what originally happened was that high school administration could not figure out how to start the day out on time with students entering the metal detection system. The buses and all that needed to be coordinated. So rather than not allowing enough time for that to happen in the AM, they just packed away the metal detectors and let kids come as they were. That was an administrative decision. And the detectors themselves need calibration. And that should be done yearly. But that was clearly an administrative decision not to utilize.
Ms. Seats.
So who makes the decision that they will or should be used in the present? Is that an administrator? Because we've had this discussion as a board about the metal detector. So who's going to make a decision whether we should or we should not put these metal detectors back into the facilities? Because I'm looking at 7440B administrative guidelines. So do we need this or do we not? Because if we're not going to use them, we wasted money. And if we're not going to use them, then we need to put them out on the market and sell them so we can take the money and use them for something, for some more help or assistance, because we do have a problem. We did have a gentleman who came in from Washington and walked through, and he did it deliberately. And he had something on him that was way outside the guidelines, just to see if that frame did work. And since we have a frame, we should make it operative or take the frame down. That's all I'm saying, trust me.
I support you. I think the board needs to make this a mandate that it be utilized right now, right? If we got those metal detectors, we put them back into service for the safety and security of our students.
The staff has requested the metal detectors and ones, and they said, when I talked to the staff, they said that they were supposed to get them and that they were told that they would get them, the metal detectors and wands. So I guess there's so many mixed messages.
So is there a motion from the board that to put the metal detectors back into service immediately?
So do they work?
Yes, like calibrator myself, according to owner's manual recommendation and company recommendation, went through the process, validated 6 out of 7 that are in possession at this time, but fully functional and working within the operational frame.
Yes.
Is that something we have to vote on, or can we just direct those?
Direct the superintendent to do it. Dr. Walker, that's under administrative guidelines, so my opinion, I mean, so hopefully the rest of the board supports it, but we need to implement that ASAP.
I'm trying to figure out, because everything else you said, is she gonna have to call an attorney to get an opinion on if we can do this? And why she keep on calling our attorney on us? That's the board attorney, and she keep calling the clarification, just told her what to do from the last meeting, she didn't get it. How is this going to actually happen? Because she keep calling the attorney on us. She called our attorney on us to interpret policy. So how are we going to make sure that this happens? Go up there and put it in ourselves?
I think we make a directive. I mean, when we make a directive, it has to get done. If it doesn't get done, then Dr. Walker has to pay the penalty for that.
Okay, all right. Without calling the attorney for policy interpretation.
So, I mean, the board's silent right now, so the question's on the table. We know that this is
That's my consensus.
Okay.
I mean, we're
So
not
do I have
gonna take
consensus
the vote.
for the board?
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Walker, there it is. We need that done ASAP. Mr. Leonard?
Thank you. Sorry, I go back up there a minute. The other items that I want to make sure I give your attention to for discussion in relation to the public safety and gang prevention grant. Ms. Lovelace from the IT department also referred to this report that we provided a copy for you of. We did implement, we actually received, completed all the programming requirements and distribution and deployment of the two-way communication system that enhanced not only communications within each building specifically, but district-wide emergency management communication services. That report there, for your reference, goes through and identifies a summary of the efforts put forward to accomplish that task, the coordinated efforts with the IT department, HEI Wireless, and Facilities and Operations Department, as well as the training of the different positions, actually are in those positions that have been provided with direct training, as well as with operation of these units as well as the capability. Just to circle back to a comment made earlier, during the negotiation for these particular units, it was a 3-year warranty, and we were actually able to work with HEI to actually be able to manufacture a 5-year warranty on these actual units, lock, stock, and barrel. So we're very excited.
What was the cost?
Off the top of my head, I believe it was I have to look at it to find out. It was $20,000 for all units, including the repeater for the district. But I didn't write the specific information, so I don't have it right here at this point. The other information is related to public safety grant, public safety and gang prevention grant. It had been requested by the board for a review of some of the information presented at previous meetings related to the identification of the areas in the grant that were being attended to by the facility side, if you will. So I provided for you there is the BHAS Safe and Secure Grant Cost Estimations, which also give you per building summative information relating to what areas those funds are being directed. As was discussed at the earlier meeting, video surveillance, because that is now available to be funded through the CP fund. It was something that was decided by the cabinet that we could better allocate the safe and secure grant funds to items that could not be directly funded through CP fund. We try to leverage those two funding streams together to work toward a greater end in our efforts. So these will give you an explanation of how that financially breaks down. You will notice that there's some what I call low-hanging fruit, little things down at the bottom that are identified as optional costs. I believe we're working some questions on this last time we talked about it. Those are there just for point of reference. If we have smaller funding streams, or we have organizations that may wish to make a donation or contribute something or provide some of these items, this is so that we get a frame of reference that we quickly access that could be approached in that way that have a major impact. So things such as visitor management platforms is a major impact things that should also have benefit to our markets. They're compliant with local state and county practices in their school districts. Emergency supply kits, emergency protocol printing. These are all areas where we don't have anything at this point in time. With the exception of the visitor management platform, we have a stopgap measure in place that was rolled out during this last month for visitor management facilities with self-adhesive name tags and things of that nature, because our carbon ones were disappearing and not being returned and not coming back. So we went for a different approach based on collaboration with the principals. That being said, looking to move forward with the next areas, especially in relation to facility construction modifications, we will be putting out RFPs for annual services by January to address those items, and then also an RFP working in coordination with the department to formalize an RFP in the business office for the phone and PA services for upgrading to resolve the communication issues that we have in some of the facilities, classroom to classroom, classroom to office, emergency call buttons.
May I back up just a second?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the MSP walkthrough presentation to the Board of Education in 2016, and Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety Security Assessment for 2016. Is there a reason that there was not an assessment done in 2017, or are these periodic assessments?
These were all requested, or they were offered. That was my understanding.
Okay, because it says July 2016, yes. And I don't know if this board had decided it was every year, every other year. I don't know. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Okay, as far as security concerns are.
One question I have, Mr. Leonard, where are we at with the RFPs for the surveillance system? That's the thing of
the surveillance system, as far as the cameras, camera updates, those have not been put out. We can make that a high priority before.
That in the exterior lighting, correct?
Yeah, we can do that also, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Leonard?
Yes, sir. The Chester Pools request for information from Chester Hills for facility audit, just for their information, that has been, the schedule was formalized today. They will be here on Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, weather permitting, to complete that audit, facility audit. We'll present that information to the board. The marquee repairs was actually able to meet with Michiana Signs and Lighting during this past week, and they are in the process of writing up proposals. Also took them out. We actually literally went verifying the letters with them, took the panels off to verify they're looking at some of the buildings that we don't currently use that have systems that are similar, so that we can potentially leverage that. So that is all being incorporated into the information. I did ask them also, because they are a local provider that actually provides these types of services, to establish a maintenance service plan for us as we move forward. All the signs should be maintained on an annual basis. They have not. It was very evident when we opened them up that the seals on the bulbs, the LED panels, they have never been broken from point of purchase. So it's evident that they've not been serviced. So that will be included in that information. I'll bring that back to the board for review. Then the next thing, the security staffing option cost comparison. The response to the Board of Education's request for security staffing cost comparison. Scott Johnson has a brief presentation for the board. I'm now passing that to you.
Thank you. The district currently has in the budget $575,000 for security staffing, whether it's from any staff or other services. If we compare the annual cost for all EduStaff employees for security versus the annual cost as Benton Harbor area schools employees, we're looking at a cost difference of $262,000 per year. We're also planning to add 6 positions, security and culture, climate control, staffing. And so the difference for those positions through Benton Harbor area schools as opposed to EduStaff would be another $67,000. So combined, we're looking at the cost difference between EduStaff and Benton Harbor area schools employees for security services of almost $330,000. There are a couple ways we can compare this data. One is comparing EduStaff versus Benton Harbor area schools option. Another way to look at it is to compare, I'm sorry, this doesn't show very well in this background, the annual cost difference between that first pink number right here, that's the current staffing, that cost versus what it would cost if we added the positions and switched over to Benton Harbor Schools, switched all those positions over to Benton Harbor Schools. So the cost difference from there down to here would be a $471,000, almost $500,000 annual impact on the budget. And that would be 85.3% more than what we have budgeted, what the current staffing cost would be through EduStaff. A couple other quick points. This is not readily quantifiable, but if the district were to bring the EduStaff security staff over to Benton Harbor Schools payroll, we would be transferring that workers' comp risk over to the district. And with that risk comes costs. We have a few expensive workers' compensation injuries by security staff that's employed by the district. That would increase what's called our workers' comp experience factor, workers' comp modification factor, and that drives our workers' comp premiums for all employees. So if we have a couple significant costly injuries for the security staff, whether it's breaking up lights or other injuries, this could translate to increased workers' comp costs across the district. So that workers' comp experience factor is applied to all of the district employees. Another consideration is the legal liability risk. If the board brings the EduStaff employees over to the Benton Harbor Schools employee payroll, then those, or that liability for the district would transfer from EduStaff to the district, to the board specifically for security staff performance. Another risk that would transfer would be unemployment. If we were to convert those staff to Benton Harbor Schools employee positions and were to reduce the staffing, the district would incur those unemployment costs. And one note in the cost comparison, these figures assume that the figures for Benton Harbor Schools would include single subscriber only medical. Respond to any questions if you have.
Well, this is the first time I've had an opportunity to do this, and I don't know what hourly wage you base this on, from with 6 people coming on versus the EduStaff employees we have now. So, you know, I'd have to take a look at the numbers and how you calculate that. Everyone getting paid the same from each building, or K1, 2 security people being paid lesser than those at the high school, or was it all equal, but everybody would make the same?
We actually have a price broken down by 2 categories. We'll be happy to provide the board with the detailed spreadsheet that shows how we.
What was the 2 categories?
One was for let's take a moment to pull that spreadsheet open. Two rates of $14 per hour and $20 per hour.
So how do you determine who gets 14 and who gets 20? I mean, was it by the age of the child in the building, or who gets what?
All the positions are at $14 in this analysis, at $14 per hour, except the one position at $20 per hour.
So all positions are 14 to K-12. So you're assuming the job responsibility at the K2 building is the same.
Not making an assumption regarding the job responsibilities, simply using the same rate for all positions except the one position at $20.
So the wage range could be skewed or lessened by the job responsibility and where you're assigned in the district.
What the hourly pay rates are, and those could change from what they are in this analysis.
Right, okay, thank you.
So I have a question, was the hourly rate from, was it $14 right now that we compared it to? So it started out at 14 for the contract service, correct? Is more?
Hey, are you asking about the pay rate or the district's bill rate?
Well, I guess both.
Okay, there's, we assume bill rate.
Yeah, this.
There are some positions, I believe, that are at $15 per hour, but the expectation is that any newly hired persons would be hired at $14 per hour. So that's the figure that was used for all positions except the $120 per hour position.
Right? Any other questions? Have any other items, Mr. Bennett?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mrs. Monty?
Yeah, I've been waiting to get to the end. Down here at the bottom on your completed work orders that you got by facility, I'm curious if you have a percentage of how many of those work orders are the result of student damage?
We are working, and it's funny you asked that, that is actually the next, that and also a little greater detail as far as the correlation between input and output or initiation and completion. That's the next, once I have some time to sit down and actually dive into that system to pull that information, we will be in that direction. That one was actually discussed with CSM, maintenance supervisor, and the company actually did, because of a number of the damages that occurred on an ongoing basis at a couple of schools, and the replacement of that equipment. So we will be teasing that information out, and it will be recorded. But it was just talking about this late this afternoon. So it may take me a couple weeks, but that will come.
Okay.
Yes.
Having been a former teacher, are you going to categorize it? I'm assuming bathroom going to be at top of the list as things being destroyed or?
Yes. That's probably. Yeah, the availability, the detail that we can drive down to, again, it's all contingent on reporting, and there's a number of factors, and as we clean up, tighten up those processes, we get better consistency from our instructional staff. We've been doing a lot of PR work, if you will. I personally have coached, instructed, gone over and met with a number of teachers, majority of them I do it over the phone with, all hours of the day and night, that call me up, because my number is plastered all over the place. It is the number call to walk through getting registered in the system. Once they have that, maybe you guys realize it's a simple system to enter those things in. More detail to provide, more detail that we can provide out as far as no reporting and from statistical reports. So we're working on the building administrators and the teaching staff directly is the greatest area. It also serves as a great tool to have that back and forth direct communication in relation to specific. It allows us to track if something is recurring. So a lot of that information we looking forward to mining. It's just a matter of time on task.
Excuse me, any other questions for Mr. Leonard? Okay, so staff report number 10, policy update. So last week, I was looking over some policies based on some recommendations from board members, and I brought some policies. And I looked at those policies from other districts that use Neola. And so Dr. Walker, I think, had maybe the secretary or somebody go and present these to Neola. They came back with if you read under the administrative memo to the board for changes, it's approved. Basically, Neola agrees with the policy changes. So that's what staff report number 10 is about. I'll read staff report number 10. Subject, updated policies, 2017. Reason for board approval. Ben Harbor Area Schools Board of Education, excuse me, is recommending changes in the below Neola policies. Facts and analysis. Periodically, the Board of Education will act to update Neola policies. In some cases, the board will need to need to choose varying options within the policy. Being brought to the board a policy for which the board is requiring changes. Please see the attached from central administration's response to policy changes. Professional staff, 3120, employment of professional staff, revised. 4220, staff ethics, we currently have that listed under 3210 minus the last paragraph. Finances, 6110, grant funds, revised. See the central administration response for the policy change. 6320, purchasing was revised. 6610, student activity fund was revised. Board policy reference 0131.1, bylaws and policies. The recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the Benton Harbor Area Schools updated Neola policies as presented. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 10? Moved by Trustee Gully, supported by Vice President Mitchell. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 10?
I think that was some good work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
From policy. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Madam Secretary?
Lisa Gully.
Yes.
Martha Momley.
Yes.
Angelica McDonald.
Yes.
Marla Seats, yes. Stephen Mitchell.
Yes.
Joseph Taylor.
Yes. Staff report number 10 passes. Staff report number 11, Girls with Pearls. I brought this to the agenda, excuse me, because I had some board members had some concerns about this really not being a requirement for us. You know, maybe the use of this vendor could be used in the future. So let me read staff report number 11. Subject Girls with Pearls, date December 14th, 2017. Reason for board consideration. It is the intent of the board to consider grant proposals and applications for their potential to enhance educational opportunities, the educational environment, and the physical and mental growth for each student. Policy reference 6110, recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to remove the Girls with Pearls program from Benton Harbor Area Schools due to, I wouldn't say it's a conflict. And so I would just state this, that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to remove Girls with Pearls program from the Safe and Supportive Grant. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 11? Moved by Vice President Mitchell. May I have support?
Support.
Supported by Trustee Lisa Gully. Questions, comments, concerns? Secretary?
Joseph Taylor.
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell.
Yes.
Marla Seats, yes. Angelica McDonald.
Yes.
Martha Momley.
Yes.
Lisa Gully.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And so that staff report needs to be corrected and the removal of conflict taken off. Staff report number 12. So board members had questions concerning this staff report as well about the community Saturday morning basketball program. Staff report number 12, subject community Saturday morning basketball program, date December 14th, 2017. Reason for board consideration. It is the intent of the board to consider grant proposals and applications for their potential to enhance educational opportunities, the educational environment, and the physical and mental growth for each student. Facts and analysis to create a co-ed basketball program for youth 1 through 6th grade by exposing them to individual and team success strategies through the organized sport of basketball. This program is designed for kids to have an opportunity to play in a competitive basketball league while learning life skills such as teamwork, personal values, confidence, and communication. Policy reference 6110. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to accept the Community Saturday program as presented above. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 12? Moved by Trustee Gully. May I have a support?
Support.
Trustee Martha Momley, questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 12? Angelica McDonald?
Where are they going to practice? What building?
We don't know the building yet. I think the young lady already had put in her application a couple months ago for use of the building with the AD. Any other questions? Mrs. Martin?
Okay, now I had a question is because the proposal form, it still said Benton Harbor area students, not Benton Harbor area schools. And that has been changed, and I'm glad, because that guarantees that it is our students benefiting from this program. And isn't it a coincidence that they have the Lions division, the Tigers divisions, and the Spartans? And didn't she attend Michigan State? Yep.
Any other questions from the board regarding staff report number 12? Secretary?
Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Martha Lumley,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell.
Yes.
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Marletta Seats, yes.
Staff report number 12 passes. Staff report number 13, Mrs. Momini. Is that your update?
Well,
Yes.
update and the staff report for the MSB governance. We'll do the governance first. Okay, subject MASB school board governance standards. Reason for board consideration, the board needs to vote to adopt the MASB Board of Education governance standards. Facts and analysis, MASB created a board of governance standards for the board that the board should adhere to. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the aforementioned MASB Board of Education governance standard.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 13? Thank you. Moved by Treasurer Angelica McGowan. May I have support? Supported by Vice President Mitchell. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 13? Secretary?
Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Martha Momini,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marletta Seats, yes. Stephen Mitchell.
Yes.
Joseph Taylor.
Yes. Staff report number 13 passes. Dr. Walker, final
Not
comments?
my updates.
I'm sorry, updates. I apologize.
Because I told you that I needed to resign from this position because my eyes had people begging, saying that they would help me. So I will really need to have help. I'll send you guys a list of things that we need to look up in our meeting minutes and go back. And I thought some of the stuff had been sent to Dr. Teasley, and I know Susan had talked to some of it, and I wonder if she didn't realize it was from the board. And so she's it's things that we've done, but we do need to find out documentation that she's requesting. And then we've got, where to go? I did sit down with Ms. Balbo today and went over what we have done and haven't done, so that she's got an update. But we've got coming up soon, detailed set of procedural documents outlining the roles and responsibilities of the school board, which the MASB school governance should cover that. But then I need procedural documents for the district leadership and the partnership agreement partners related to the common business of the school business. I'm not sure what they're looking for, so I'm going to clarify with Dr. Teasley what they want. But then we'll need to create the procedural documents for district leaders and the partnership people. So that is something that is coming up. And other than that, we are on track.
All right, any questions for Mrs. Momini on the update?
Thank you.
For the moment. If I don't get help, I really can't. I just can't do this reading.
Superintendent?
Thank you. So I just wanted to again formally and publicly express our sincere gratitude for Mr. Johnson. Tomorrow is his official last day serving as the interim chief financial officer. And just, thank him for his work with the budget deficit, information that, the auditors presented, the decrease in the audit findings, that his leadership helps to ensure correct, just a host of other things. So On behalf of the students and the staff in Wisconsin, we want to wish you the best in your future endeavors, and we thank you for the service that you have given to these students and this community.
Okay, trustee Bell?
Yes. I'm trying to figure out how someone can have a cabinet, and all the doors are left unlocked. They don't know the contents. And they have. That's the state I see of the district. We make it bad look good by changing the names at people. But we're not addressing what we need to address as far as the partnership. We're trying to figure out when is the real work going to start. There's an uproar on social media about what's going on in the district. There are multiple videos being shared about how the schools are being ran. Feel that. I will say it again. I can say it right here, but I can say it right here. Superintendent has lost total control of the district. We're just surfacing over everything, and we're not addressing the main problem. The only thing that we've done since February 2016 is fire our local people and conduct an investigation. Me, including myself, was a part of one. I was lied on about student submittals that I didn't have by administration, by the employee. The employee made this up and put me out there to try to damage my character, just to do a deterrent. You know how they say Fox News always put up some BS every time they want you to not focus on the real issue? I feel like the Fox News panel up there. Fox News. Because we're not addressing the real issue. People come and talk, we don't let them talk. The schools, the teachers scared to go to school, the teachers getting threatened, and I've seen where if a kid threatens or hit a teacher, that student is up for immediate expulsion. But from my conversations, they coming back to the school next day, like what? Nobody's gonna do anything. The state said, we can't suspend. The state said, we can't do this. The state said, the state is not changed. We ain't got enough right. We have not gotten a directive from our partners. We just getting all this BS. We got another investigation on Tuesday about another local person that was a principal. And some things that he said was said in that meeting that she said, the board said, I'm not feeling that because guess what? Nobody speaks for Lisa Gully but Lisa Gully. So I'm really offended by the statement that was made that the board did not support Mr. Roseberg, because I didn't say that. And I'm putting that on the record. I did not say that. And I do not appreciate it being said. Anyway, technology. If the kids are damaging the computers, what used to happen when I was in high school, before I graduated, I had a book that I didn't return. I had to pay for that book before I was able to graduate. They put it on my field. It was like, I walk in the field, and you know how graduation is. It's like a hype situation. Parents are excited to see those kids walk across the district field. They don't pay for those things by graduation. I couldn't walk. I had to come up with that $200, pay for that book, before I was able to get my diploma and walk that field. It's not hard. We don't have hard problems to solve. We just got to implement the processes that's already in place, because every process that we're saying is difficult to have, we already got it in place. It's just being violated. Nobody's being held accountable. I was reading an article that Detroit has started working with their local people. They're working with their local leaders and residents to try to implement a marketing plan and how they can help out with the district. I know that people come up here all the time and they ask how they can help. I recall a situation where a local barber and the manager at McDonald's had went to the superintendent's office and they said they never got a call back. They were trying to work with our kids and they never got a call back. We got to stop bringing in people who don't, again, I'm not saying they don't have a heart. They don't have the same heart we have. To look more into local parent liaisons actually going to the parents' home. We're trying to get the parents to come to us. It's not happening. We need to go to them to try to figure out what's going on. So that's something I can support in hiring. I can't support no like some higher, job descriptions that we already have in place. I can't support that. We need somebody to go out and reach these parents. The child is acting, we need you to come up to the school, and here's the house, how can we support? What services can we bring? I thought that's what the partnership agreement was about, wraparound services. We're not wrapping around nothing but this cabinet with the unlocked doors. Don't nobody know the consequences. Nobody knows what's going on in 6 months. You don't know it's not metal detector. Somebody said last year, 2 years ago, it was a metal detector supposed to be in place. What are we talking about right now today? We got an 18-month deadline, and we at -0. Like, have you seen test scores? Have you gone and visited the schools? That's where the partnership meeting needs to be at all the schools. Forget at the college. Have them come up there and walk around the buildings and sit in schools. I would cancel that meeting and say, first school, let's go to ACA on the second floor, let's go to 7th hour, Miss 10 math class. And let's sit up in there and see what's going on. Forget all that going to the college. For what? They don't see what's going on and what's needed. They gotta go to the building, see what our teachers need. And what's not being done based upon what people got on these scorecards and what they've seen. There's only seen one room. Everything else down with PBIS. Only one. Strong, powerful teacher that's able to implement that. Everybody else, what the teacher said, what they need is all those people you got coming in with these notebooks and these pencils and these $80,000 salaries. Have them sit in the classroom and actually demonstrate what they're trying to say that the teachers need to do. That's what I would like to see moving forward, a demonstration. This is how you control a student who's out of order. And another thing that was disturbing to me that I got from the teachers, it's so much, so many people so frustrated, they're like, we're gonna lose a lot of your quality teachers, is that parents are saying, my child is autistic and he needs special services. However, they're being placed in a regular classroom setting, disregarding everything that the parent is saying, putting this on a teacher who never had a situation where she had to deal with autistic services. But that child who needs that special care, that special help, is being forced to be in that class. Why? Why would you do a kid like that? I hate to see the karma that's gonna come down and all the decisions that's made based upon, I don't know what other reason. You know, some think it's to destroy the district, but I hope that's not the case. I just hope that's not the case. Because the repercussions of that, it's gonna be detrimental. That's my piece.
Thank you. Mrs. Momini?
Okay, first I have to say I'm very sad because the receptionist over at MLK, she's leaving the Scott. Tomorrow's her last day too. And she's been really, really helpful to me and I've really appreciated her. So I'm going to miss her. The mentors for the robotics, those young ladies were fantastic, self-assured, confident, and really did a nice job with those kids. That was really, really cool. I'd asked previously about numbers at Parent University. I'm still looking to get that. Ms. Baptist, I know you can give us a little bit of information about exit interviews. We're curious if there's more information or whether maybe the people leaving are not being open about why they're leaving. Because we'd like to really hone down on, I got another job. Well, maybe you got another job because you didn't feel safe. Maybe you got another job because they offered you $20,000 more. And so if there's a way we can hone down a little bit more on that information of why they are leaving us. I'm having a problem with administrative guidelines, and I don't know where we're at in that process. There's a couple places we can click on them where they're draft, but you can't find anything. You have to scroll through the whole thing. So I'm hoping that we can get that solved so we can check the administrative guidelines and know what the process is for each of the policies. I'm being told there's a social studies teacher who's teaching dance at ACA he's qualified to teach social studies and wants very much to teach social studies. I don't know what the problems are, but I hope that we can, if we really need a social studies teacher, we can accommodate it. Because my sense is that if he doesn't get it, he's going to leave anyway. Do we still use Carnegie Math? Everybody, Ms. Robinson, do you know if we still use Carnegie Mac?
We used software, BHAS, and then we also used the consultants.
Okay, so. Kind of curious why we got 2 pallets worth of material sitting over the sorter of Carnegie material. I need 2 pallets. Okay, and then we had last Saturday when we met, Friday, I can't remember when it was we met, and we put forth a request for a plan. We had concerns about the suspensions and everything, that we wanted our policy to be followed. I haven't heard any follow-up. I don't know if anybody else has. Where does this plan stand? What things have changed since we had that meeting? And I'm looking to find out what's really happening and how we improving. And that's it for my comments.
Stole some of mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to hand it to you.
Thank you. Yes. I want to add to the concerns that I've heard tonight, but I think one of the things that really bothered me tonight is the people who really had some concerns. They're not here to find out if there are any solutions or resolutions to what they stated. The one gentleman talked about his MLK and something about his daughter. I was confused. I would like that answer to why would they be concerned about older kids jumping on little kids in MLK if there's a transition made and where that state would come. Because I do believe we owe the parents, we owe the students, we owe the teachers, and we owe the taxpayers an explanation of why we're having so many concerns, and to minimize what is going on and to say that it's not happening when everybody does not get the information other people do get. And if these things are not shared among ourselves, then we never get that information. Because I do know that several videos have surfaced, several text messages, and several other videos prior to incidents happening. That's disturbing to me. And even events that have happened since we've had a meeting, we get no correspondence. But we hear it because this is a very small community, but very well-connected community through social media. And then when we have to, and I hate Mr. Watson had left, we've been having several conversations about what can be done as far as the substation is concerned. And I do understand that they did get a call from administration, but he had already had several of those videos before conversation was ever initiated, and why the police are not being allowed to participate in coming up with Benton Harbor. Benton Harbor PD, we know that Benton Township does participate, but it's disturbing to me that we have to hear it as they said when I was growing up. I heard it through the grapevine. And when I see what I see and when other kids are sharing the social media among each other, and they're saying on social media, we will not get suspended. If it is not a factual statement, we have still not cleared it up because the kids still think they will not get suspended. And I'd like to deal about what are we going to do? That is my question. We have policies and procedures already in place. I'm not looking for new plans. I'm looking for policies that are already in place, administrative guidelines that are in place to be followed. And if those guidelines cannot be followed, those policies cannot be followed by people that we have hired to do so, then we do have a problem. And we do not want to allow our students to think that this is a lawless school, because we're sending a message to the students. And when a police officer gets hurt, I have a problem. And when that police officer does not even want to report the fact, injured, because he does not want to not be able to cooperate with the school district And we do understand that he did accomplish something that has not been accomplished in years. But why do we have to wait? And I look for my emails of the last few days on several incidents that I know, because I got the videos and the text messages immediately, but I don't see that report to this board. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I do have a suggestion for the board as I was looking through the policies. Policy 9140 asks for a Citizens Advisory Committee. I would like this Board of Education, in its discretion, shall establish a Citizens Advisory Committee when there is a definite function to be performed. And I think what's going on now in the 3 schools that I'm aware of, that we do put this advisory committee into operation, and it is only functional until the situation is corrected. And it does consist of board members, it consists of lay people in the community, it can consist of whoever. But I think this is where we include the community in some of our solutions, and include the community and let them know that we're not minimizing what is happening in the school district. But this policy is laying here, and I think this is one of the policies that we need to, if this board desires. It is 9140 Citizens Advisory Committees. Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell.
Just one item. I've been following this House bill and Senate bill regarding carrying concealed weapons and being able to in the school buildings, those that have permits. And I think the board needs to take a stance, just as St. John's and the other local districts are doing, and not wanting to see that happen in our schools. So I think that we need to make our voice known, along with the other school districts, for consideration by our representatives and the governor. And that has to be done very, very soon.
I concur.
No comments for me. Anything under other? Let's see.
If you would, Mr. Chair, this resolution was submitted by Trustee Margaret Gass. If you would read it for the hearing of this board for consideration for this evening.
Okay, no problem. Resolution submitted by Trustee Margaret Gass. Whereas Benton Harbor Area School Board of Trustees is responsible for and committed to ensuring a safe environment for students to learn, as reflected in the policies adopted by the board, Benton Harbor Area School Bylaw 0121, 0122B, Policy 8400. Whereas the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Trustees has adopted policies as well as student code of conduct, the receipt of which must be signed by the student and parent or guardian and returned to the principal. Student code of conduct, page 53. Whereas the Benton Harbor Area Schools policies and student code of conduct specifically address the conduct of students attending Benton Harbor Area Schools, including prohibited behaviors or acts and consequences and due process rights of violations while being in school, on school buses, or attending school events on or off school property. Benton Harbor Area School policies 5500 through 5611. Student Code of Conduct 2017 to 2018, signed by the student and the parent or guardian. Whereas there have been numerous incidents involving acts of physical violence by students at several of the Benton Harbor area schools, including MLK, ACA, and Benton Harbor High School over the past 2 months, which has created serious concern by the Board of Trustees and the community. And whereas a physical assault on a student by other students at the Benton Harbor High School, captured on video by another student, posted and circulated on social media, led to the Board of Trustees calling a special meeting to address the violent apparent lack of functioning, effective, proactive interventions to address and or prevent the student violence, and lack of understanding of policies and procedures regarding suspensions and expulsions of students, classification of offenses, as well as the factors to be considered. Therefore, I move to adopt the following resolutions. The superintendent shall conduct a review of administrative procedures pertaining to all aspects of student discipline and the specific causes of ineffective implementation or of intervention strategies to address disruptive and or violent student behavior. 2, develop and implement a detailed plan with timelines for each school
with measurable steps to correct the ineffective implementation of intervention strategies necessary to improve the learning environment, ensuring the safety of students and teachers, to be presented to the Board of Trustees at the January 2018 meeting. 3, the detailed plan shall include ongoing training, including an effective means for teachers, administrators, and intervention staff, including PBIS and social workers, to review the effectiveness of intervention strategies. And 4, provide building administrators training and support to improve their understanding of Michigan laws and Benton Harbor Area School policies and procedures regarding suspension and expulsion of students, including class of offenses. Submitted by Trustee Margaret Gass, December 14th, 2017 resolution.
Support.
Do I have a motion?
When you read it,
No, I read what you
was making a motion.
Make a motion for it.
Roll call. Lisa Gullich,
Yes.
Martha Mommy,
Yes.
Angelina McDowell,
Yes.
Marletta C. Yes. Keith Mitchell.
Yeah.
Joe Taylor.
Yes.
Joseph Taylor.
Motion carries. At this time, I have a motion for the,
I've got another.
okay, I'm sorry, ma'am.
You know, it's no problem. It's not, this has been trying, very trying recently with our fights and problem suspensions and metal detectors. We've had students making comments about suicides. We've had unconventional weapons like screwdrivers and hammers in the buildings. I know the security cameras that don't work. There's a lot of fear. A year and a half ago, I mean, we had some difficulties, but we were working on them. We were provided a safety and gang grant that I thought was going to solve what struggles we were having. And I feel like we have gone backwards. And I'm dismayed and I am heartbroken over what is happening. So therefore, I move to retain the services of Clark Hill Barbara Ruga to conduct an investigation into possible violations in the use of state and federal grant monies that resulted in placing students and staff at risk for safety and in liability for the district.
May I have a second?
Support.
Yes, ma'am, questions?
Yes, please, thank you. Trustee Momini, are you requesting an immediate, I mean, we did not give a time frame for the request to be as far as we're asking for immediate investigation into the safety grant and the distribution of that grant? Is that, what's your time?
I'm not very good at writing motions, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's just my clarification.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions, comments before we call the vote? Secretary?
Lisa, I'm sorry.
Yes, Lisa.
So, okay, this investigation is requested by the board, correct? So all correspondences will be through Clark Hill and the Board of Education and not administration? Because this investigation is for administration, correct?
Correct. So Clark Hill can report that to me. I report it to the board, or we can have them include everyone on that memo.
And I would hope that Clark Hill will report any, like say superintendent has to call me and be like, what they doing? You know, because she got a close relationship with them. She's always calling me for something. So any interference in this investigation should be like a harsh violation.
So I will get known to Clark Hill, and it's probably going to be Barbara Luker.
Interferences or whatever you call that.
Yes.
Tampering
Yes,
tampering with investigation processes. So
Okay.
just so you know, have clarity, call about this. You breaking the law. But yes.
So I'll relay that to Barbara Luger when she contacts me regarding this, because what we'll do is I'll make contact with her. What Trustee Molly asked for, that investigation into those safety and grant fund. And I'll just need that, Martha, you can just send me that in email so I can just have the correct
Yeah,
word.
I will type it, I tried to rewrite it so I can also give a copy to Sue. I will type it and send it.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna
And we'll
read my
send it over to
handwriting.
her. Okay?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Steve Mitchell, Marletta Stevens, yes. Angelique McGowan, Marvin Momedy,
Yes.
Lisa Go.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Any other?
No, now you can call for it.
Okay. At this time, may I have a motion for the adjournment of tonight's meeting? Moved by Angelica Madonna, may I have support?
Support.
Supported by Martha Momedy.
Lisa Go,
Yes.
Marvin Momedy,
Yes.
Angelique McGowan, Marletta Stevens, yes. Stephen Mitchell, and Joseph Taylor.
Yes. Meeting adjourned at 9:14.